with the fake on Jaylen Brown. Drills.
Chance to be around him, you realize he is perfect.
NBA player rankings. Who dominated a wild week 2? This list is trash. It's garbage. Who wrote this? Micah Adams.
Icon Garbo?
Micah Adams doesn't have a clue what's going on. He wrote this as if he picked the 10 most popular players in the NBA, minus a couple who are actually good shouts, but I don't think he picked them, to be totally honest. So number 1, DeMarcus Cousins. Fair pick. He had a great week. He had his reintroduction in Sacramento, and he killed them. So great week for him. Giannis, of course, good shout. Kevin Durant at number 3 is pretty questionable.
Right.
He didn't have the greatest week. He played really good in the fourth quarter of the 3 games they had. But besides that, he didn't have an outstanding week. There's definitely players who played better than he did. Karl Anthony Towns had a pretty good week. They chose an awful picture of him for some reason. I don't know. That's besides the point. But Karl Anthony Towns at number 4. Steph Curry at number 5. I'm going to come back to this one because I have a lot to say. Evan Fournier. That's how you say his name, right?
Yeah, Evan Fournier, yeah.
Good week. I always want to say the Wizards. It's the Magic. Might as well be the same stupid ass name, honestly.
Damn, shots fired
Shots
at the
fired.
team.
I like both those teams. They just have awful names. But the Magic are playing great, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Fournier at 6. 7, LeBron James. Cavaliers had an awful week. Mind you, he played like LeBron James, but
Right.
how is he in the top 10 if their team is terrible?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I shouldn't say that because some of these players should be on there despite the fact that their teams are terrible, right? But if your team is losing, you shouldn't probably be on there.
Right.
Number 8, Aaron Gordon on the Magic as well. I would also say he's better. He had a better week than Fournier, but whatever. Russell Westbrook, I think we both decided they put him on there for the mere fact that he got his triple-double.
Against all teams now in the NBA.
Yeah, I guess that's probably why they put him on there, even though he did have a pretty good week. He had a Russell Westbrook-type week. I don't know. Then Ben Simmons at 10, who had a great week as well.
Mm-hmm.
He should be higher, in my opinion. Let's go back to Steph Curry. They go into great detail about how bad he was this week, which he wasn't very good. He played like absolute ass in the fourth quarter of their 3 games.
Right.
Almost costing them. Probably they could have lost 2 or 3 of those games because it was so close.
Right.
But they managed to win 2 and lose 1 for the fact that Kevin Durant played great in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
How do you put this dude in the top 10? Of course he's in the top 10 of just if you're picking 10 players. But if he has a bad week and you're choosing the best players of the week, why do you put him in the list? What's the point? It goes the same with LeBron. If his team doesn't win, how do you put him in the top 10 other than the fact that he's LeBron James? Call your list the popularity contest polls, and then it's okay, because then you're right. But then you would have to take out these Magic players, because obviously they don't fit in. But then let's get into it too, right? There's a couple players that obviously aren't on the list that should be. One of which that I'm not going to go super into detail is Porzingis had an incredible week.
Right. Over
30 points in I think 2 of the 3 games, maybe 3 of all 3 of the games they played. And they won 3 games in a row, which for the Knicks is incredible.
Exactly. I mean, they're on a 3-game winning streak. Porzingis is playing out of his mind right now. He had 3 30-point games, you said?
I think 3, yeah.
3 with good rebounding stats, good blocks. I mean, he's doing everything for this Knicks team now that Carmelo's gone.
And they didn't put him in the top 10, let alone the fact that he probably on the week should be in the top 3, maybe even 1. His week was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Then Oladipo didn't make it. Go into it. Give me some detail. I got to stop I got to take a breath.
So if we go from 10-24, he had 28 points in that game against the Timberwolves. He had 35 points against the Thunder, which they won, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then also 23 points against the Spurs, but shooting a very good percentage on all the stats. I mean, his stats basically say that he had a pretty good week.
on a bad team.
On a very mediocre team, I would say, because the Pacers are just...
They're not good.
They're not good. It's just one of those things. Of course, he won Player of the Week. With the Eastern Conference, he won Player of the Week. So, obviously, there's no recognition of that in this stat line. Or even, I don't think they even had the Western Conference Player of the Week in there either.
Who's that?
Let me check. I don't think...
I knew Oladipo won just because I had to look up some stuff about him because he did have an incredible week.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it? Oh, DeMarcus Cousins.
So he did make the list, obviously.
Right. But Oladipo not being in there is so disrespectful to him, especially because ESPN absolutely trashed Oladipo throughout the whole Thunder Paul George trade. Right. I don't know if you read any of their stuff. They were like, this is the worst trade ever for the Pacers. They just got rid of an all-star caliber player for a very mediocre player in Victor Oladipo. He's playing out of his mind for the Pacers. And honestly, they're playing better than the Thunder are right now, just for the mere fact that he's killing it. So, no respect.
And also to that, just talking about that little aspect, I think it's unfair to say that because Paul George won it out anyway. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the Pacers owner was very salty about it, and he was going to trade Paul George to anybody that wasn't the teams that he wanted to go to. Mm-hmm. So, of course, they traded him to the Thunder because it's a small market team in terms of how popular the team is. And basically, he went on the Thunder because the owner was salty. So you can't really blame Oladipo for that, and you can't say that the Pacers made a bad move if that's what the move they wanted to make in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it's working out pretty well, too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the Thunder, you have 3 all-star caliber players vying for 1 basketball to shoot, and there's just not enough basketballs for everybody.
They're all score-first all-stars.
Exactly.
So, I mean, how do you not give any respect to those 2 dudes, but you put Steph Curry and LeBron James on here?
It's a popularity contest, I think. I mean, that's all we got to say about that. I mean,
Micah Adams, you suck. You're a joke.
Yeah, it's just one of those ESPN articles that, of course, are biased. They're, of course, just... I don't know. With ESPN, you got to be careful about them in terms of how they rank stuff and how they perceive players. Mm-hmm. Because they don't think logically. I think the only person that I really respect of ESPN is Zach Lowe. He's like the only dude I respect on ESPN's writing staff, and to be biased. I don't mind him either. And what about Kyrie? They didn't put him on the list either. Yeah, he's having a great week.
He had a great week, and he's keeping the Celtics afloat right now.
I mean, 5-game winning streak.
Craziness. They put Steph Curry. That's the one that has me the angriest. Honestly, I'm getting back into my rage mode because they put this dude on the list, and he played like a bum. Mind you, he had a bunch of points, but his percentage from the field was awful.
Exactly.
He almost lost them 3 games because he couldn't shoot worth a shit in the fourth quarter. And you don't put 3 dudes on this list who are carrying their teams to wins. Crazy, dog. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Let's move on because I'm sick of it.
All right, guys, we're back here. Let's just go over the power rankings quick of teams now that we've done the player rankings, a.k.a. the popularity rankings. And let's start it right now. So, of course, number 1 is the Houston Rockets. They're playing okay. They're playing pretty good. They're 5-2. No real complaints there. I think they lost last night to the 76ers, but they're still a good team, and I think they will be in contention for the conference finals at least by the end of the season. Number 2 is the Golden State Warriors. Not having the best of times, but they're still getting by. They're still on their championship champagne hangover. Mm-hmm. Still mental lapses, of course, from Steph Curry. Mental lapses from the other teams, but this team will still be good enough to get to the finals.
Yeah.
I think this team will just honestly, maybe they might even win. It all depends on how the psyche of the team is during the playoffs, but of course that's just there. Number 3, we have the San Antonio Spurs.
Without
Kawhi. Playing very good. Of course, they lost to the Magic, and I can't remember who else they lost.
Pacers.
Boston.
They lost to the Pacers, didn't they?
I guess
to Boston?
Yeah, I guess it was last night, so I don't think they counted in the rankings here. Okay. But they lost to the Pacers and they lost to Boston last night. So, until Kawhi Leonard comes back, we can't really, judge the team.
Yeah.
So we're just going to leave it there. Number 4 is the LA Clippers.
That's pretty suspect.
Very suspect. I mean, the team's doing really good right now, but do I trust them to go in the long term? Not really. Not with the track record that I've seen from both Doc Rivers and Blake Griffin. I know this is going to make me sound like I'm hating Blake Griffin, but in reality, I know what the team is since 2010 to where it is now in 2017. Number 5 is the Memphis Grizzlies, who's a very surprise team, I might say. I think I had them in the playoffs at the number 8 seed in our preview and prediction show for the NBA season. But, the team's doing really good. Conley and Gasol, they're playing out of their mind right now.
Yeah.
I think I said Conley was one of my favorite players, and he's playing like it right now.
Yeah, they're playing really good. I'd pick them over the Clippers any day.
And then, of course, number 6 is the Boston Celtics.
Yeah. Back
up from where they were at number 15 because of the bad first week. But since Kyrie's picked it up and also Jaylen Brown's picked it up, this team is doing very well, and they're at number 6, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. Number 7 is the Cavaliers, who are 3-4. And this is the one we got to talk about after we just go over the top 10. So we'll get to them in a little bit. Number 8 is the Toronto Raptors. It's playing all right. They're 3-2. They just need to do a lot better. Obviously, nothing that's standoffish about them, or like they don't stand out, I should say. And apparently they're also getting good quality production from the big man, from Sickman and Jakob Poeltl. Number 9 is the Milwaukee Bucks, 4-2. Not sure why they're number 9. I think they should be at least 2 or 3 spots higher, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd put them up a little bit higher.
So, Giannis is playing out of his mind right now. MVP role, MVP stats. We talked about him. We'll leave it at there. And, of course, number 10 is the Portland Trail Blazers, who are playing okay. They're 4-2. They only scored, last night they only scored 6 points in the second quarter or third quarter, I believe.
Yeah.
So we'll have to look out for them, and that's pretty much going to round out your top 10 and just some notable ones. So, of course, we have Oklahoma City at 11, Magic at 12, and I think the Knicks are at 25, I believe.
I want to point out
or 26.
The Wizards are at 14, too, which I think is very low.
I mean, after the 2 games I saw from them playing against both the Warriors and the Lakers, I think they're right where they're at.
I would put them quite a bit higher than that, personally. But we'll talk about it.
Well, okay, let's talk about first the Cavaliers and how they're playing. Of course, LeBron James is a favorite player of ours.
They do this every year. Like, maybe this might be a little bit more extreme than the other years, but for the most part, every year that there's a big shakeup with a LeBron team, they come back and there's a lot of stuff that needs hammering out at least a month into the regular season. So it's par for the course. If you're a Cavaliers fan, you don't have anything to worry about.
The only thing I would worry about is how old the team is. I think some of the players are a little bit old and they're injury prone, which I think will cause troubles in the playoffs if those injuries carry on through it.
Yeah.
And that's the only time I would be worried about it. Of course, they'll pick it up, but I think this is just a theme of what happened last year and it's carrying into this year is the defense. The defense there's mental lapses. They're not as cohesive on defense as they used to be, especially the year they won the championship. They were on lock with the Warriors.
Yeah.
But last year and this year now, it's not looking like that at all to me.
They just don't look like they're trying on defense, is what I'd say. It doesn't look like they're bad at defense. It just looks like they don't give a shit about it.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. And I don't think that means they're a bad team. I definitely don't think they're the 7th best team in the league. I think they're probably in the top 4. I'd put them ahead of the Clippers easily. Or is anyone picking the Clippers even at this rate? Is anyone saying the Clippers would win a best of 7 series?
I wouldn't say the Clippers per se, but of course it's week 3, so they're only going off week 3 stats.
Yeah.
But the Cavaliers aren't playing to a top 4 potential in my opinion. They're playing obviously in top 10, but definitely not top 4 compared to these other teams. Even the couple teams above them, like the Memphis Grizzlies and the Celtics. The Celtics obviously I need to look at their opponents. I haven't looked at them yet, but I think those teams and
definitely not right now. Excuse my yawning. I'm sorry. Definitely not right now. It's not even necessarily what I mean. I'm just saying if you're ranking these teams in terms of their potential to win a championship,
right?
The Cavaliers are much higher than the Grizzlies or the Clippers. Like if you just stop the season right now and put them in a playoff scenario,
right?
The Cavaliers are beating those teams. So that's what I would say. I think the rankings are right per se for this, what they're trying to do. It's much more what the other one should have been, what I was mad about on the player rankings. Like, you're picking from the week, not from the whole season and what they're going to do.
Exactly.
So I agree with the list. Honestly, the Cavaliers should be lower if you're going by that standard. They've been pretty horrendous.
It's been pretty bad.
I mean, I love the Knicks. They're my team, but you can't lose by 23 points or whatever they lost to the Knicks. Like,
Exactly.
That's awful. They have two dudes on their team who can score. Most nights, it's usually just one. So you can't lose to them like that. Let alone, I think they let them score 123 points or something.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
What are you doing? Yeah, so I would say they probably should be lower if the list is just the week, but you don't have anything to worry about if you're a Cavs fan, especially when Isaiah Thomas comes back. I think the farther and farther we get into the season, the more I see from the Cavs, he's exactly what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Like a super energetic player who can dominate the ball, just like on ISO stuff. He's what they need. Like, let LeBron spread out the court and let people focus on him, and then you have Isaiah Thomas just dribbling up the court.
Yeah.
Your team is set. So as soon as they get him back, get some of that stuff squared away, they're going to be great. Kevin Love, the experiment with him at center just didn't work. So they need to figure something out there. But once Isaiah Thomas comes back, you guys are going to be great.
Let's move on to a team that is playing almost like the Cavaliers, playing down to their competition, and that is the Washington Wizards.
Okay.
So, of course, we had that big game against the Lakers versus Lonzo Ball.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, LeVar Ball said his thing. And, the Wizards played absolutely terrible.
Yeah. I do think the Wizards are better than the 14th ranking in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had two bad games. Like, even with the Warriors game, they were playing pretty good for the majority of the game, and then they choked and blew the game.
Yeah. But, that's the thing, though. You could say that they played well in certain aspects, but if you don't close out the game, then you're not winning anything. And that's kind of like what the Wizards are at right now, is they need to figure out what's going on in terms of the shooting thing, because every time I see John Wall take a jumper, I'm not confident it's going in at all.
Yeah. The rest of their team is playing pretty good, though. Like Otto Porter Jr., Kelly Oubre is playing pretty good, too.
Yeah.
So, their team is really built for years to come. Like, their team is good this year, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. This team was good enough last year, and it was good enough this year. Honestly, the Wizards team should have beaten that Celtics team last year.
Yeah.
And the Wizards team should have won against the Lakers easily, handily. Because you're saying that your team is now a contender and they're trying to get to the NBA Finals, those games against the Lakers and the Warriors are games that are kind of like stamp games. Stamps of, are you going to be a pretender or a contender, in my opinion. Because, especially against the Warriors, who are a very good team and, they're champions, of course. You want to beat the champions.
Yeah.
So I need to see that you are going to be able to handle that no matter what the situation is, whether you're up 20 and then you're down 2, can you come back from that? Or if you're up 20 and, they're closing in, because the Warriors, they make, a couple threes, then the game is now suddenly a 3-point game.
Yeah.
So very indicative of what's going on with the Wizards, in my opinion. Maybe I'm a little bit harsh in my critique of the Wizards, but those games are winnable games.
Yeah.
And I need to see the Wizards not play down to their competition to the Lakers.
Yeah. And what I would say, going back to what we were talking about with the Cavaliers, like, it depends on the way this ranking, how you're taking it, right?
Right.
If you're taking this ranking as how they played throughout the week, I don't think they're even the 14th worst team in the league. They lost 2 close games, one of them to the best team in the NBA.
Yeah.
The other they lost to, they just got too emotional about the game, I guess.
Yeah, but they also got emotional in the Warriors game, and they were up 20. There's a difference between just losing a close game against the Warriors and then blowing a 20-point lead.
Yeah, but think about let's put it to the Cavaliers, though. They lost by 23 points to the Knicks. Like, how are the Wizards worse than they are this week?
I think it's just because of LeBron James, but at the same time, when you're down that many points and you come back, obviously it's indicative of the Warriors' quality and like how they come back from adversity. But at the same time, if the Wizards are saying they are ready to beat the Cavaliers, if this team the reason why you signed Otto Porter Jr. to that long contract and that big contract is because you believe that this team, this core of players, is ready to defeat the Cavs and go to the NBA Finals. If you can't beat a Warriors team when you're up 20,
Yeah.
I mean, are you really going to be contenders in the future? I mean, because if you're up 20 against the Cavaliers and they come back, that obviously is going to affect you, especially in a playoff series where there is that like real life momentum thing.
Yeah, I guess my last point on the matter would be like if the Cavaliers were in the same situation, I guess how am I trying to say this? I think like if the Cavaliers played the Warriors this week, they probably would have got absolutely crushed.
Right.
So the fact that the Wizards played, and mind you, they blew their giant lead, I don't think the Cavaliers ever would have had an 18-point lead to begin with. So that is my 1 point on the matter. I think the Wizards probably played a better game against the Wizards or against the Warriors than the Cavaliers would have in their current situation.
Let us know, guys, and above, I'm going to put a little card above the right-hand corner, and we're just going to put, do you believe that the Wizards are contenders or pretenders? Let us know in the comments above. So let's move on to, and a quick shout-out to De'Aaron Fox. That dude is playing out of his mind. Of course, he's a Dragon Ball super fan.
We already love him because of it.
We love him because of it, and he's playing out of his mind. Salute to you, man.
Love you, De'Aaron Fox. Let's talk about a couple other teams. I just wanted to.
Do you want to do our team talk, where we just talk about our teams and how we perceive them as?
Yeah, we could talk about it.
All right, let's start with you because I know you're very high on cloud nine with the way that the Knicks are playing.
I don't know if I'd say that. I'm pretty happy with the Knicks week. Obviously, they just won 3 straight games in a row after starting 0-3. I do think that the 3-game winning streak, and not even the 3-game winning streak, but just the win against Brooklyn saved Hornacek.
Right.
That's how you say his name, right?
Yeah,
Hornacek.
Jeff
It saved him his job.
Hornacek?
Whatever his name is. I don't like your name. Jeff. Yeah, saved him his job by winning that Brooklyn game, which is a good sign. I think they just need to let Porzingis take the reins, which they have, but we've seen that he's capable of leading this team in every aspect.
Right.
Just let him do it. Just let him do it every week. And then you have surprise performances from Tim Hardaway Jr., who puts up 34 points. You can have that kind of thing when everybody is expecting this dude to come out and have an incredible game, which is Porzingis. So everybody's expecting him to play out of his mind, but it opens up opportunities for Tim Hardaway Jr. and, Enes Kanter to score 20 points in a game. They can keep winning. They can be a middle-of-the-road team this year if they play smart, which for the Knicks would be mind-boggling to do that throughout the whole season. So I'd be pretty happy with it. Porzingis, if he doesn't end up in the top 3 in the MVP talks this year, it would only be because they win 15 games total,
right,
or he gets hurt would be the only reason he's not in the discussion.
Yeah, every year he's improving. I haven't really looked at the stats. We'll probably look at them at a later point in time when we're talking about